Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan, Andrew DiCecco with us, as this is one of our most anticipated Inside the Birds pods. Every year we do our own kind of 53-man roster projection. We parse through it, we figure it out, and then, of course, as Adam always likes to say, it's just the initial 53. This thing changes 2 or 3 times over before an opener. But before that, guys, we do have some breaking Eagles news. Obviously, they make a trade, their third trade since the start of camp, and this time they bring in quarterback Sam Howell, which is interesting. There's a little bit of a Sam Howell, Carson Wentz 6 degrees of separation thing going on as Wentz goes to the Vikings and Howell goes from the Vikings to the Eagles. There's a couple of areas I want to explore with this, but Adam, I'll start with you. Obviously, with Tanner McKee suffering a finger injury and with Kyle McCord not really looking very good in the preseason and training camp, there was a need here for someone who could, if Jalen Hurts got hurt week 1, week 2, to step in and play.
Yeah, and they know this guy. I mean, McCord put up some numbers against some years ago with Washington. He's now on his 4th team. Wow, Sam Howell. Times have changed for him. But, yeah, because here's the reason. McCord's clearly not ready to be emergency backup, meaning if McKee's not ready, what it sure sounds like he won't be. That's why they made this trade, most likely. But if McKee's not ready week 1 and they didn't make this trade for Howell, it tells you that they don't think McCord's ready to be that guy had Hurts gotten hurt. Folks, transactions always tell you something, even when you don't think it. So they do. There's a reason by everything that NFL teams do. There's reasoning here, and it's the Tanner McKee finger injury. Now, the unfortunate part is they're doing it so late. If Sam Howell's the backup for week 1 and Hurts gets hurt, he hasn't had much exposure to this offense, so it's late to do it. But it's not like they planned Tanner McKee to get hurt 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. So it is what it is.
Andrew, right now, the Eagles' prayer is that Jalen Hurts does not suffer an injury in week 1, and we'll see how long the McKee thing is. Doesn't sound like it'll be long. It was non-surgical. But even with an experienced guy like Howell, as Adam just said, he doesn't know the Eagles' offense. They would have to severely dumb it down if Sam Howell were. I mean, they run a lot anyway, but the point is they really need Jalen to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't going to go into week 1 with Kyle McCord as their second quarterback. That's just not going to get it done. And it was just a matter of who they were going to acquire, because Tanner McKee with the finger likely wasn't going to be available for week 1. There's a lot of quarterback names that may have shaken, that are going to shake free, but you're able to get the sure thing, somebody that without having to guess, your roster is stabilized there at the quarterback position, and you can kind of go into it and make those decisions.
So one thing that's strange to me, the Eagles are going to say, whenever they publicly comment about the trade, they're going to say that this is not as much about the McKee injury as it is getting depth. They like to have depth. You're adding a quarterback, but I'm not sure they make this trade if McKee is fully healthy. And they're going to say, I know some people, I've already seen it out there, say, well, by having Sam Howell, they can trade McKee next offseason. They're probably going to get a really good deal for him. And then Howell sort of becomes the Kenny Pickett, the veteran backup, because McCord won't be ready. But Howell is in the last year of his deal. So there is no guarantee he will be with the Eagles in 2026. So the idea that this is another depth pickup for the long term as opposed to the short term, to me, is not that's a fallacious argument.
Yes.
It's kind of like with Mechie, right? Mechie's on the final year's deal, so is Dotson. Sure, the Eagles can get an idea of what Mechie could provide for them, assuming he makes a team, which we all, I'm sure, have him on our 53. Mm-hmm. They've got this season to evaluate him and then see if they want to bring him back. But once you're a free agent, you can do what you want. You could shop your services to anybody. So you have to see how that shakes out. But, yeah, again, transactions tell you a story. Now, what I will find interesting is, do they put McKee on short-term IR on Tuesday at the deadline? We'll see.
Well, that would be 4 weeks, right? At least.
Yes. Yeah.
You mean IR with return? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. That's a good question. That is a good question. It's non-surgical, so you would think of a finger injury that doesn't require surgery, you'd be able to be back within 5 weeks. But to your point, Adam, maybe they're doing it just to keep somebody on the roster a little extra longer, a week or two, before they have to make a decision also. So that'll be interesting as well. All right, before we get into our 53-man roster projection, the Eagles helped us out by making a move pretty early in the process. Again, the deadline is 4 o'clock on Tuesday that they have to be down by 53, but they waived Lewis Cine. They say DB. I only saw him practicing at safety. Is that Andrew? Did you see him?
Yeah, he was hurt, by the way. Just so you know, he was waived injured.
Waived injured. Yeah, I know he's on crutches.
He goes to IR if he passes through waivers.
He was on crutches in the locker room on Friday night.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Huh. Which is a shame, but also a microcosm of his career. He makes a really nice interception and then somewhere along the line gets hurt after that and has to be waived injured. But he didn't play any other position outside of safety.
No, he was a safety.
Right? Yeah. Because they wrote DB. They said DB in their social post.
Most teams do that anyway. They don't differentiate. I think sometimes on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. There was a lot of Lewis Cine truthers in the comments earlier in the year on Inside the Birds channels, and we said it was going to be a long shot for him to make the team. It was worth having him on the practice squad last year. On the 53 last year and keeping him and retaining him to see what he could offer. But to my knowledge, Andrew, you can correct me, he may have gotten a few second-team reps when there were injuries to Makuba, but he was mostly third team. And
it was really early. It was really early. It was actually on the day where Saquon went wild. It was like a 66-degree day. It was overcast. That was the only day that I can remember Lewis Cine, one, taking second-team reps, but also he had a pass breakup. But aside from that, it was a very nondescript camp. So, and he really didn't get a lot of run. He was third team.
Do you guys feel it would be fair to say that Maxon Hook actually looked a little bit more like a viable back end play? He's not going to make the 53, but I mean, he probably had a better camp than Cine. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, both guys didn't get a ton of reps, but in the preseason, and Cine was banged up. I thought Maxon Hook proved that he belonged, and I think that they'll continue to develop him on the practice squad.
Yeah, he was an interesting player, Adam. I mean, I kind of liked watching him play. He seemed to be heady, and if he had a chance to put a hit on somebody, he would put a hit on somebody.
Size. He had really good size. He's just not the athlete that you're looking for at the safety position to be a guy who would dress every week on the 53-man roster. So I'll be interested to see, and I don't know. I haven't seen your guy's 53, so I don't know. But I know Andre Sam's a guy they really like. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Andre Sam. He's real close. He's on my top 60 if we did top 60.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that I
talked to him after the game on Friday. Yeah.
Okay. Anything interesting from him?
He thought he had a so-so performance against the Browns, but he thought he performed well against the Jets, and he was happy with his showing in the first game. He had a good camp, and I think between Tristan McCullum and Andre Sam, Tristan McCullum is the more ready at the safety position. He's more ready there. Andre Sam's the better special teams player.
Okay,
interesting. All right, good stuff. Okay. Adam, before we get into the 53, I already mentioned 4:00 Tuesday is the roster cutdown deadline. Give us the sequence after that as far as waivers and then injury report for the first game.
Yeah, this is interesting. So, you could have less than 53 if you want, but you can't go over 53 players. And then Wednesday at 12 Eastern is when the waiver claims are processed. And around 12:30, what happens is they give a time frame. It's somewhere between like 12:20 and 1:00 Eastern. Clubs could start to form their 17-man practice squad, 16 players plus one international player. So Matt Leo was with several years and now works for the Eagles. And Vakalahi, if the Eagles want to have him on there as the 17th guy, they can do that. And then next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern is the first injury report for the Thursday night game versus those Cowboys who come into Philly. So, and they have to, by league rule, even though it's a short week, you still have to release 3 injury reports. So there'll be one out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week.
Yeah, these next few days are like a whirlwind. I mean, you go from like the roster cut down to the waiver and then right into the first injury report, and it just happens in a flash. But that's cool because that means real, meaningful NFL football is very close upon us.
One more thing, and you'll see agents do this. I warned Mike Gill about this. Mike brought up a really good point on Football at 4. Just because a player is on the roster on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern does not mean he'll be on it on Wednesday at 4 Eastern. You're allowed to not cut anyone when you claim a player. Only at this, it's way of odd rules. Like at 12 Eastern on Wednesday, you could claim players, but when the next personnel notice comes out at 4 Eastern, you got to cut somebody to make room if you're over the limit. So these agents, these young agents, when they go on Twitter and congratulate their players, it's humiliating when the player gets cut. I would warn those young agents, say absolutely nothing publicly. Absolutely nothing.
That's a really good point.
Foolish.
How long do you have between claiming the player and then the corresponding wave that you have to make?
4, yeah, it's 12 Eastern and then 4 Eastern on Wednesday. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So there's a couple hours there where you technically have 54 players. But
yes, technically, right. Now, I don't know. Do they have to turn in by 3 Eastern? I know the personnel notice comes out at 4 o'clock. Clubs get it first. I don't know. I don't know. Do they have to be turned in 3? I don't know what the rule is. But anyway, it sucks when agents do this. And these poor players, because they're told, because the agent feels so good. They're in their 20s. Hey, man, you made it. I'm going to congratulate you on Twitter. Oops.
Yeah, that is rough. All right. Good stuff. Now we get into our 53-man roster projections. We've all done them. We've already talked a little bit. We're going to agree and disagree at the same time on some of these players and who makes it and who doesn't make it. We'll start obviously with quarterback. And to me, like the Sam Howell addition threw a monkey wrench into the thing because I had to then take a player off of the 53 who I had on because I had to accommodate for what I thought was going to be, or I think will be, 4 quarterbacks: Hurts, McKee, Howell, and McCord. I'm keeping Kyle McCord not because I think he deserves it, but that will be a repetitive theme throughout this 53. And I would guarantee you guys too have guys on your 53 that probably don't deserve it, but are either draft picks or kept for a certain reason. So I kept 4. I have a feeling you guys did not agree with me on that. Adam, I'll start with you.
You would be correct.
Okay.
Now,
you're cutting Jalen Hurts, really? No, I'm just kidding.
No, but your theory, because I know what you're thinking, is like Howie has this history of keeping his draft picks, even if they don't perform. At least give him 1 more year to develop. The problem is, if you're keeping a guy who didn't perform, you then have to you got to cut somebody else maybe that you wanted to keep. It's not easy. This is a tough one. I had like 4 iterations of my 53. And I said, all right, I'm going to go with what I know. What I saw in training camp, like I forgot Matt Pryor, I saw him play left tackle and practice at left tackle, rather. That surprised me when he was doing it. I'm like, okay, do they need 12 offensive linemen? No. But anyway, so yeah, I don't see that. Well, see, here's the thing. We don't know if they'll put McKee on short-term IR. So right now I've got it Hurts, McKee, and Howell. Now, obviously, they could save a spot if they put McKee on.
They could. So that we should keep that in mind. McKee going on IR would allow them to keep another player. Andrew, did you keep 4 or 3?
3. It's going to be Hurts, McKee, and Howell. Kyle McCord, I have them waiving.
Right. I'm going to go back to 1 point on Howell's contract here to where I kept him on and sort of disagree with you guys. I agree he did not make it on merit, Kyle McCord. However, if Sam Howell had a second year on his deal, I would have waived McCord because then you could see, even if they move McKee next offseason, you have Hurts, Howell for another year, and then you can draft a developmental quarterback next year. But because of that, they don't. I'm keeping McCord on and giving him that chance to come back. Do I think that there's a chance, even though he played poorly, that some other team would claim him off waivers if the Eagles waived him? Yeah, I do. So that's part of my thinking of why I kept him on. All right. So we'll see what other positions we went deeper and thinner at. At running back. Start with running back. Let's call it running back / fullback. Andrew, who did you keep?
Saquon Barkley, Will Shipley, A.J. Dillon, and at fullback, Ben Van Sumeren.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense there. So that would be 4.
Not a lot of suspense there.
Yeah. Exactly. I want to talk real quick before, Adam, I get yours about Montrell Johnson Jr. I was really impressed with him as a zone runner, meaning when the Eagles were in shotgun and they ran their prototypical inside zone, he has a nice jump cut. Adam brought this up, I think, last week in a recent pod. You saw him be able to score the touchdown on it. When they went under center, the offense in general looked terrible in that preseason game, and he would get stopped behind scrimmage. I don't really find fault with that. But where I do think Montrell Johnson left a little to be desired is his wiggle. I think he's got good speed, good straight line burst, but I didn't really see him get himself out of he was no Henry Josie fella. No, he just didn't show to me a whole lot of wiggle. But I like the idea of having him on the practice squad, and I think he fits the zone run offense really well.
Yeah, He's not a make you miss type running back. You have to understand what he is and what he's not, but he's got a great build. he's the kind of guy you really don't want to waive, because this is a guy who's really well liked in scouting circles. I give the Eagles credit. There were some other teams involved in trying to sign him as an undrafted free agent. And boy, I'll tell you what, Andrew, before he got hurt, he was one of those wow players. I was like, oh boy, okay, let's see if this continues. And he got hurt. What do you think of Johnson in practice?
I liked him a lot. Out of all the undrafted free agents, right off the bat, watching him move, he belongs. And I had a chance to talk to him after the Browns game, and he mentioned, yeah, I missed a lot of time with the hamstring injury. He had to do a lot of pool work with the treadmill to strengthen the hamstring. But I said, what do you feel you've proven to the coaches at this time? And he said, explosiveness, that I can pass protect, that I can catch the football and do more than just be a pure runner. And they also use him as a kick returner as well. I think they have something there and want to continue to develop that on the practice squad.
Good stuff. By the way, on your Van Sumeren point, you saw him catch a pass from McCord.
Yeah.
Eagles did an excellent job for the most part of hiding Van Sumeren.
Yeah.
The first game, he didn't even play on offense. I continue to say this, and I'm sure this is the only podcast that anyone has heard this on, but I believe Van Sumeren will carve out some poor man's Kyle Juszczyk role. I do think they want to get, at times, the ball in his hand to create mismatches when the defense is in base. Because when he's on the field with another running back, the defense is going to be in base. They're going to have extra linebackers. And Van Sumeren is a great athlete, and he can beat linebackers, and we know he has great hands. So, again, I'm not talking about a big part of the offense, but you looked at the 49ers. They have so many guys who touch the ball when they had Ayuk and when they had Debo and when they had Kittle and when they had C-Mac, but they still got the ball to Kyle Juszczyk in certain areas that created good mismatches.
By the way, he could take on that role that Avery Williams was supposed to take on, that Sirianni bragged about in March. You know what I'm talking about? There you go.
Oh, we got to talk about Avery in a little bit, but go ahead.
Really? You don't have him on your roster. Okay. No, I have the same.
I'm looking forward to seeing, for fans to be able to see the kind of athlete that Ben Van Sumeren is. You may have seen glimpses, you may have heard about it, you may have read our stuff, but he's one of the better athletes on the team, and he could do a multitude of things.
Andrew, was he your rookie diary 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken? Was it 2 years?
That was Eli.
Oh, right. Okay. I got you. Okay, I'm sorry. But I know you've got to know him. All right, so I've got it. Let's quickly go. Barkley, Shipley, Dillon, and BVS. Yeah, that didn't take me very long. Yes. Okay,
and for me, it was just 3. I'm bringing A.J. Dillon back to the practice squad. Nobody wanted him in the offseason. He signed for a very low number. I had him on originally until the Howell trade, but I think the Eagles can get away with getting him on the practice squad, elevating him. But I do think he'll eventually be on the 53. I think it's going to be one of those roster tango, wink, wink, nod things.
I can see it, but it might be getting a little too cute, you know?
Well, yeah, because Andrew, on that,
no running backs. There's going to be 15 running backs on the waiver wire.
With a team that is a heavy running team, he looked good. He's all the way back.
Yeah.
Once you cut him, because these contracts terminated, he's not subject to waivers. He could sign. He can go anywhere he wants. He controls his destiny.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the. I hear you on that, but there are other players to do that with.
All right. Well, we'll see. You're right. I mean, I guess you have to worry about the Cowboys always trying to snipe somebody's running back because
they're running against sticks.
And I would also say that on kick returns, it's been Will Shipley and A.J. Dillon.
Yeah. How about Dillon on there? Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
That is a fair point. All right. Wide receiver. Let's start with you, Adam. How many did you keep?
6. Brown, Smith, Dotson, Mechie, Cooper, Anaya Smith, for a variety of reasons. He came on. He could also punt return. He's probably the best punt returner.
Mm-hmm.
He looks good. He's finally healthy. He never was really healthy last year. To me, this is like, I call it his rookie season plus. Yes, he was with the team last year. Technically, he's not a rookie, but he just had no rookie season. So he took what he learned. He was healthy. I know in the beginning of training camp, he was a little slow. Didn't see a lot. His training camp progressed. He was better. I understand the hands every once in a while. You could say they got to be better. He's worth developing. This kid's got something. There's no question about it.
Andrew?
A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, John Mechie III, and Darius Cooper. No Anaya Smith.
Ooh,
that was my toughest decision.
Yeah, go ahead.
So just 5.
They're just 5. My thinking here is that Anais, you can get him to the practice squad, maybe elevate him if need be. He did have a misread on one of the punt returns. He had a couple of drops. Obviously, you don't make the final preseason game, but when you see when it comes down to decision making, that may make the team a little weary as to deploying him out there in a regular season game. There could be there will likely be some other names. Maybe our old friend Britton Covey could potentially shake free from the Rams. And I just think that you might be able to find a more suitable option on the waiver wire.
All right. Very interesting insight there. I am like Adam, and I kept 6, but I'm going to make everybody mad because I also cut Ainias Smith, and I kept Avery Williams, and I don't care that he doesn't deserve it. I believe he doesn't deserve it, but I believe they brought him here for a reason. I don't think NickSirianni was lying when he got excited about him, and he had an injury in OTAs. Andrew, you just made the point that we know this guy can return punts. He didn't do it a whole lot. He was actually the protector.
He was the backup personal protector on punt behind Shipley.
Personal protector, yeah. So, but I just got a weird feeling. Sometimes the Eagles do these strange things, and I got a feeling this is the guy Sirianni wanted, so I kept him. And
but why they used him at punt returner after Ainias Smith? Ainias got more reps. He opened the game. As the
sometimes you're trying to find out more about a guy, right? So you give him a lot of reps. I mean, they gave Devin White 1,000 reps, right? Until they decided he wasn't going to be their linebacker. So I think they know what Avery Williams can do. And I just can't get over the way Nick Sirianni gushed about him. They had a plan. And maybe it would be one thing. It would be one thing if he started off camp, didn't perform well, and got lower. This guy was never even given, as far as when we watched, the opportunity to show what he would do. And I think that there's some intentionality to that. So
why would there be but why you've training what it's not like the other teams could see it. Why would you not sign him as a gadget player and a returner and do something on special teams, right?
Yeah.
The thing that Sirianni talked about, I mean, I remember you and I did a show. We were like, wow, Nick talks 3 minutes about this guy. That's not like him. And then he never did. Andrew, did you see anything from him as an offensive player?
He's done nothing. And he wasn't even on the first team kickoff. Usually that might, if you're able to carve out a role there, maybe he barely returned punts in camp. It was usually Ainias. Then there was some Jahan Dotson. So Jahan Dotson would be a player in my scenario that could possibly do it if they don't find another option on the waiver wire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You guys are making a lot of sense. I know I stuck my neck out on this one. I feel like if Ainias Smith had a great camp instead of, as Andrew described it, as kind of an up and down, he had the touchdown, he had the punt return, but he also had some drops and, some uncertainty. I feel like if Ainias was, no doubt about it, the guy, then I would have put him on. But because he didn't prove that, I feel like they can get him onto the squad and they will go with Avery Williams, and we'll just see.
I really like Ainias. He has a good mindset. He's a lot more confident. I spoke to him after the game on Friday. He didn't believe he had a very good game, but he felt good about the summer that he had. But he has the right mindset for it. If he doesn't make it, he'll bounce back.
All right, good stuff. Tight ends, Adam, how many?
Boy, I went in my initial 53. I had Granson because I know the Eagles like him a lot, but he just doesn't block well enough. This is why you could put veterans on a practice squad. He's a vested veteran, so it's contract terminated. You work it out with the agent. We want him back, but we got some young players we don't want exposed to waivers. That's the way I see this going down, and I also could obviously see him making it. This is probably the toughest one I had on offense is what to do with Kylan Granson. And then the McKee thing put a quagmire on it because they may keep him if they think he'll be back by like week 2, then you wouldn't put him on IR. So that's the struggle I had with this one. But right now I don't have Granson on it, just 2 tight ends.
Andrew?
I have Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, and E.J. Jenkins. Now, the reason why I have E.J. Jenkins on there is because of his blocking prowess. The Eagles lost Johnny Wilson for the season, obviously. Nick Sirianni intimated that we're going to look at who we have internally as well as, how he's going to look outside to find a player who can fulfill that role and do the dirty work in the block. And I think EJ can do it. He was a collegiate wide receiver. You can move him around a little bit. You like the frame. He can also help on special teams.
Yeah, I wrestled with it. I kept 2 like Adam. I only went with Goddard and Calcaterra. I feel like you can get Granson and EJ on your practice squad, and then
there are teams that like EJ Jenkins, by the way.
That like EJ. Yeah, I thought there were last year too, right? I thought you had that there were some teams that were interested in him last year, maybe. But I think that they'll be able to pay him on the practice squad and competitively. And if they need to, they'll probably guarantee that he'll be elevated pretty quickly. As part maybe even first 3 weeks until a roster move is made. I agree with the whole idea that Kylan Granson doesn't give you anything differently than you already get from Calcaterra. I mean, he may have a little more burst than Calcaterra, but the bottom line is you're getting pass catcher from Calcaterra. You're a pass catcher from Dallas Goedert, who's also a blocker. EJ, to me, would be the one to elevate sooner because if you want to be in 12 personnel and you want to block, you need EJ.
And by the way, Van Sumeren, I mean, we talk about Kylan Granson sort of being in that H-back mold. If you already have Van Sumeren as your fullback, that's kind of redundant, in my opinion.
That's why I didn't put EJ on the 53, Andrew, thinking that you could have Van Sumeren in that sort of 22 personnel role instead of 12.
Yeah, but I look at it going 5 receivers for me and only 2 tight ends would be really lean in terms of skill players.
Good point. All right, that's right, because me and Adam went 6 receivers. That's probably why we went lighter on the tight end area. All right, offensive line. This is going to be a fun one. How many, Adam?
All right, so past the starting 5, I've got 10. I went back and forth with Lamb and Pryor. Not that Pryor would be off of it, but had I not seen Pryor taking left tackle snaps, and he did. I don't know how many days I saw it, but he was doing it. I'm like, huh. Well, if they think he could play left tackle, be a backup, fill in for a little bit, do they need to keep Kendall Lamb? I know Lamb could play right or left tackle. That was one where I went back and forth what to do with him. Kendall Lamb's contract. Let me take a look at it as we speak. 1 year, $1.5 million. They guaranteed half of it. Just about roughly half of it.
Yeah,
that's a cuttable contract. It wouldn't surprise me if they cut him. Wouldn't surprise me if he was on it. But right now I only have 10. So here are the backups. Drew Kendall, Matt Pryor, Miles Hinton. They're not cutting him. I don't know how. I know he's raw, but they want to develop him as the future swing tackle. The legendary Brett Toth, year 7, and Darian Kennard, because they did cross train a little bit at both guard spots and right tackle. He would be subject to waivers if they cut him. This is one where it's fluid. What you might see Tuesday might change on Wednesday.
I 100% agree with you. I think this is fluid. This was difficult for me. I kept 10. I kept almost everybody you kept. I did not keep Toth. I did keep Pryor as 6, Kendall 7, Hinton 8, Kennard 9, and Cameron Williams. I did, even though this is one who I don't think deserves it. It's one that I don't think deserves it. But tell me who the Eagles have as developmental offensive tackles behind Mailata and Lane Johnson. They have Miles Hinton.
Miles Hinton,
just one. And they're usually more than one. So I think Kennard can play guard. I did not keep Toth because I've said all along I really don't believe he'll make the 53. That's where I have Pryor as the swing tackle, like you're saying, Adam, and Kennard as the first guy up at left guard, right guard if need be. I don't feel great about it. I do think, as you said, this is fluid, and there could possibly be a move here that would negate any of this. But for now, I do have Cameron Williams and Hinton making it because they were drafted, and they were drafted knowing that Cameron Williams had these limitations, and Stelton wants to get his hands on him. So those are my 10. Andrew, how many did you keep?
10, and beyond the starters, we went Matt Pryor, Drew Kendall, Darian Kennard, Trevor Keegan, and Miles Hinton.
Oh, wow. So we all kept a different interior.
Wow.
You kept Keegan, Adam kept Toth, and I kept, I guess, Cameron Williams as an extra tackle. Interesting. I like that. 3 different viewpoints. Why did you keep Keegan knowing he's been buried and on the third string and also trying to be a center, which hasn't worked out?
I mean, he played 35 snaps last season, and he was banged up a little bit. Went in this year. He's proven that he can play all 3 interior positions, give you some versatility potentially in a game day situation. They just drafted him in the 5th round. If based on the way that I have mine structured, if you're parting with some current draft picks, I think you're going to want to retain somebody who you invested a 5th round pick on and continue to work on him.
Fair. I think the big takeaway from all of us is that despite our differences on that 10th is that we all had Kendall Lamb off the 53.
Yeah, wow. That's surprising.
At the time of signing,
he didn't have a good camp. He didn't have a good camp.
We thought this was going to be the Fred Johnson backup, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
And then, like you're saying, he just didn't show up well. How many did he play?
Yeah, he was sort of a liability.
He started in that game. I think.
Started the 3rd preseason game, and he played like a decent amount, right?
Yeah, and he gave up a lot of pressure on that first drive too.
Yeah. To the Jets backups, it's not like Will. Who's the Jets pass rushers? There's the kid from Iowa State they got. I can't remember his name. Will McDonald, is it?
Yes, McDonald.
Yeah, he wasn't playing. Jermaine Johnson was not. I don't think was out there. So
no, they wouldn't be out there.
All right, so that is our offense. Good stuff. Good insight. Good intel. That we'll go into defense in a second. First, we're going to pause and hear a word from our great friends at Sky Motor Cars.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schiller, make sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
If you stop into Sky Motor Cars, make sure you tell them Adam, Geoff, and Andrew sent you. You'll get a great deal, a great car shopping experience, whether you're buying, selling, trading, browsing. Everybody likes to browse cars. Go to SkyMotorCars.com before you stop in so you can at least see their inventory online, see what they got, talk to Brett Shoulder. He's got a great staff. Really happy with our friends at SkyMotorCars.com. You got to visit them out there in Westchester, PA. All right. Defense. Let's go with the interior defensive line. Andrew, I'll start with you. How many do you keep?
6. JalenCarter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo, Ty Robinson, Gabe Hall, and Byron Young, who, as Vic Fangio refers to as BY.
Oh, you know you're in good with Vic when he's actually giving you a nickname and not like talking about your limitations.
Hey, when you say BY, Bryant Young's in the Hall of Fame. Different player, but
And
you know what? He might have actually. I'd have to look this up. Did he coach him?
I don't know, but to expand on this BY, why I kept him, he can serve as the backup nose, which Thomas Booker did last season, and he got a handful of first-team reps later in training camp. He had the groin injury, missed some time, but the Eagles had him in the building last year. He was in the meeting room. He got to learn under Clint Hurt. I think they want to continue to see that through.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. Adam, what do you got?
Same, exactly the same. Yeah, Bryant Young was not coached by Vic. I did. Yeah, this one didn't take long. The big one was Gabe Hall. He's got length, which you just love as a 7 technique. And this front, you could move him around, which we saw in training camp. The light went off, man. I'll tell you what, last year it didn't. I know Vic talked about he was coming back from an injury, but the knock on him in scouting circles is a lack of energy and passion. It's part of why he didn't get drafted. But that to me was out the door, man. The guy got it. And you got to give Clint Hurt, their D-line coach, credit. He reached this kid. We talked about that when they signed him last year after the draft coming out of Baylor. This is a guy that they need to be able to reach. And the coaching is – this coaching staff, folks, and Andrew, I know you're there all the time. This is a hell of a coaching staff, not just the players. The coaching
It really
staff.
is. It really is.
In
fact, I did a show with Tim McManus from ESPN.com for the Fanatic, and I dedicated a segment to talking about the coach, highlighting some of the coaches, the assistant coaches who have done a nice job with this player development.
Good. Well, I had all 6 too, so this is our first clean sweep. Honestly, it wasn't. I think Adam said this. It was really not hard to you just wanted to see that Gabe Hall and Byron Young made significant progress from year one. And it looks like Clint Hurt has done a nice job. I was having a conversation with an AFC personnel guy who scouted Gabe Young coming out of college out of Baylor. Gabe Hall. I just put them together. Gabe Hall. And I said, man, he's really played well. And the guy said to me, he said, is he playing tough though? Right. And I said, yeah, you know what? I think he is. It looks like it. And he said, and this personnel guy said to me, athleticism and talent was never the question. It was just, is he going to play hard and play tough? And it's hard to say play tough. I mean, he's a lineman. They all looked up to me, but I thought he was doing a good job using his hands, using his feet, getting off blocks, staying healthy, staying in games. He did have a little bit of an injury and came back, I think, pretty quickly in camp from it. So
the shoulder, he gave him credit.
Yeah. So the light looks like it came on for him as far as I got to get out there, play and play hard. And Andrew, I think he might even also have enough size, if need be, and athleticism to play that backup nose also if Jordan Davis was not in the game.
He's 295. That's a little light, but
what's Young?
Byron Young might be. He's over 300. He looks. He seems like he is.
I thought he was sort of in the same 298, 295.
He could be. He has sort of the build for it. Gabe's a little longer at 6'6". Byron's sort of. I think he might be 6'3" ish. Yeah. But I talked to Gabe Hall after the Browns game, and I said, "What clicked for you?" He said, "I got stronger and just ball knowledge. It's just being in the building and being in the meetings." And now you're seeing that manifest in the summer that he's had.
Who's the one that told you that getting his ass kicked by Landon Dickerson all last year? Good. That was the light. The light was, I'm getting my ass kicked. That's probably embarrassing. He's probably got the circle. You know how Vic does that, right? He points out all your bad play. I mean, at some point your pride's going to take over, or you're just going to not be a player in the game, and he decided to be a player. So good for the Eagles on that one. Let's move to outside linebacker / edge, whatever you want to call it.
Edge. Yes.
Edge. This was really difficult for me. This is, Adam, like you said, with offensive line could be fluid. I think this is fluid. Yeah. I'll wait. I'll get Andrew's first. Andrew, who'd you go with on the edge here?
5 of them: NolanSmith, J-Lux Hunt, Josh Uche, Azeez Ojulari, and Patrick Johnson. So I kept Antoine Powell-Ryland off. And I don't know that you can afford the luxury of just stashing someone who isn't going to be able to help you this season. And he's a long ways away off. And I had a lengthy conversation with him after the game on Friday. And then you also have to look at the special teams upside. He played 6 snaps in the finale, 2 snaps in the opener. Isn't really going to help you there either, whereas someone like Patrick Johnson is a core special teamer, and he shows up every August. And he's made the team out of camp since being drafted by the Eagles in 2021.
Mm-hmm. I think everything you said makes sense. Adam, who do you got?
So edges: Smith, Hunt, Uche, Ojulari because of the contract. You could debate whether he really should be on the team. The guarantee on his contract is $3 million. He'll earn over 4, but the true guarantee at signing is $3 million exactly. That's not how he usually doesn't walk away from contracts. I understand, other than the game in week 2 where he showed up, looked good. Training camp, he looked a step slow or something. I didn't see it. But the contract look, he plays a certain way. We talked about this weeks ago, Geoff. If you didn't know his game, you'd say, boy, he takes those long strides. He doesn't look natural sometimes, but man, they know this player. There's a reason why he was brought here. So I've got Ojulari on it for now. I'm going to have APR on here. I've learned my lesson with Howie sometimes because I know he's talked about this before over going back since he's been the general manager, particularly the last 7 or 8 years when he got his power back. If it doesn't look good year one in training camp year one, you just can't cut the player, or you have to at least see something, right? If the guy, the Donnell Pumphrey, you could have said 17 should have been cut, and they didn't correct the mistake. They knew he didn't deserve to be there, but they still kept him year one because they want to see in the offseason year 2, does he have anything? We look at APR. I know that the last preseason game he showed up a little bit. Training camp, I mean, he really was with the 3s mostly. You didn't really see a lot from him, but this guy was highly productive in college. I get that was then. This is now. It's not like Howie to give up on a player. Typically, I would have cut Powell-Ryland off my 53, but I know the way Howie feels about developing players, and I don't feel like he'll want to walk away from a guy who's very productive in college.
I'm in agreement with Adam. I kept 6, Powell-Ryland and Johnson. Yeah, I kept the top 4, right? And I kept APR and Patrick Johnson. Patrick Johnson's going to be active. He's going to be your main special teamer. He'll probably even be, if there's injuries, first off the bench at edge way before Powell-Ryland. Powell-Ryland will be inactive every game of the year unless things really go south. But if he played any other position than edge rusher, I would have had him cut. But I agree with what you said about Howie. We've seen them keep certain players on the roster, whether it's Lewis Cine or Eli Ricks, that they had no intention of really playing, but they want to not expose to waivers and find out more about. And I kept them. So that's why I went light at tight end with 2 and went light at running back and cutting Dillon as well. So I kept him. We'll see. We'll see what happens with him. If he was any other position, I wouldn't, but it's edge rusher. Mm-hmm. But I have no anticipation of this guy playing. But we really should have a broader discussion now about the top 4 of Hunt, Smith, Ojulari, and Uche. I'm concerned. NolanSmith is only playing one side of the line of scrimmage, Vic said, because of his the other shoulder was bothering him a little bit. He's already had the triceps injury. I've watched Uche a lot. And while I think he has really good, fast corner edge speed, I don't think he's bendy. I think that's the issue that's probably been with him for the last few years. I've seen him get a step on the tackle, but then the tackle will ride him wide of the quarterback.
Yeah.
Him inability to bend and get under. So I'm not, as we all sit here and record that, I'm not sure that, by the season opener, this is going to be your top 4, Hunt, Smith, Uche. I think we all agree if Howie has an opportunity to upgrade here, he will, but this is what we've got to work with, so I'm keeping it.
Yeah, and not that a team's going to trade you a starting level player at edge, but it comes always down to this. What grades do they have on these players who maybe are going to be a fourth edge rusher for a club where, boy, they feel so much better than the club that has the player now?
Mm-hmm.
And they develop them as a backup initially. Now, is a team going to trade them a established veteran? Highly unlikely, not impossible. And that's a position that's such a premium. And let's face it, and I agree with you totally, I was kind of underwhelmed. I don't know about Andrew. I was kind of underwhelmed with their pass rush group in training camp.
Yeah, I was. And Vic Fangio pretty much intimated as much. Every time he was asked about it, he said, no one's really surfaced yet, good or bad. He was kind of waiting for that to happen. I thought Ojulari was going to be that guy. He just never had that moment where things started to click for a consistent period of time. There's been flashes, but not nearly consistent enough. And they played him in the final preseason game. So, I mean, they need to see more clearly.
Yeah. The only issue in trying to upgrade edge is that nobody wants to give away a good edge. So if you're trading for somebody, this person probably has some kind of flaws as well. So we'll see what.
Well, this is where I could see them keeping Agbo Okoronkwo on the practice squad, and you have a veteran guy there.
Yep.
And I also had Antoine Powell-Ryland on the practice squad. So you have a young guy and a veteran to sort of supplement.
Makes sense there. All right. I actually liked because I kept APR. I put O'Shawn Mathis along with Okonkwo on the practice squad. All right. I have a feeling we're going to fly through off-ball linebacker here, and we all have the same. Do we? I'm not going to go to. Do we all have 4? And the 4 are Campbell, Bond, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and Smile Mondin.
Correct.
Yep.
And do we all agree this is probably the best 4 sets of the best set of linebackers the Eagles have had in quite a while?
Really good. Really good.
Right. Good stuff. Lance Dixon probably played himself onto the practice squad, I think.
He got hurt in the game on Friday, so we'll have to wait and see what that means.
About that. Yeah. All right. So that's that. All right. Corner/nickel. I'm going to combine corner and nickel here in honor of Vic Fangio's lexicon. How many, Adam?
All right. So I've got 6. Mitchell, Jackson, McWilliams, Ringo, because he's a good special teamer. Eli Ricks, who the staff didn't like last year. This year they like him a little bit at least. And, of course, DeJean. This one was like, after you get through 4 of them, then it's like, okay, Ringo's a 4th corner. He's what we thought he was, but he has some talent. He is a good special teams player. Ricks has length. He's been there. They've sort of developed him a little bit. But this is where, to me, a trade. Is there a corner who's buried in a depth chart? Is there a veteran? Or one more thing we should mention, and this probably will happen. This is where Wednesday comes in. Or after week 1, so you don't have to guarantee a vested veteran salary. He hasn't taken termination note pay. Some veteran who's going to wind up getting cut, who the Eagles really like, who fits the scheme. Like that's something they got to look at hard here. Okay, so you kept 5 then, right? 5 corners and 1 nickel is DeJean. Yes. Yeah, 6 in total. Okay, Andrew.
Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, Jacorian Bennett, and Mac McWilliams.
Oh, I forget. I'm sorry. Let me put Bennett over Ricks. My bad. I forgot that. I screwed that up. Go ahead.
That's okay. That's right. Okay. So Bennett goes.
Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Adoree Jackson, Jacorian Bennett, Keely Ringo, and Mac McWilliams. So 6 corners.
Yep.
6, he gets corner/nickels. And, Keely Ringo's going to hang on, as Adam said, really good special teamer. Had 1 all-pro vote, and he was on the Pro Bowl ballot. He does some good things there. If he doesn't see the field defensively, he can help the Eagles in the 3rd phase.
All right. Good stuff. Makes a lot of sense. What I'm going to do is do this. I'm of the belief that Howie is going to try like heck to trade Keely Ringo for whatever he can get. I had Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Mac McWilliams, Adoree Jackson, and Jacorian Bennett as the 5 corners/nickels that they're going to keep, with Ricks on the practice squad, getting elevated to play special teams with McWilliams to make up for the loss of Keely Ringo.
Eli wouldn't get elevated for special teams.
I thought he played special teams 2 years ago. No,
2 years ago, but then last year he played 51 snaps. That's why he was only elevated. He only played in 7 games. That's not his strength. He's just a pure cover corner.
That is fair.
But he has a lankier build, and it's a physical physical element.
Although he's a guy, certainly if he's waived and he's not claimed, he would be on my 16.
Yeah.
I absolutely would put him on the practice squad.
Yeah, he would definitely be back on the practice squad.
He knows the system. Yeah,
there will be a corner that they can probably elevate if they want for special, or just a different player, like we mentioned, some of the outside or inside line stack linebackers. But if you're going to keep Mitchell DeJean, Mac McWilliams, Adoree to start off and until Jacorian Bennett is ready, and you can't make a trade for another corner, I think it makes sense to trade Kelee Ringo for somebody who might give him more of an opportunity, because you're already burying him on the depth chart now. So if you can get value instead of keeping him just to play a small role on special teams.
Ringo's not going to have any value in a trade. It's just
you don't think somebody would trade a fifth for a third?
No, hell no. For Ringo? No. Brian Robinson only yielded to 6, and there was a reason for it, but the guy was a quality running back for Washington. Ringo is a fourth corner.
Yeah, whoa. Brian Robinson's making $3 million. That's a whole different entity.
He had to take, but Ringo, but Robinson Robinson's a good football player. Ringo, we know, we the words around the league with this. He's not a starting level player. Never will be. But he's a good special teams player.
Yeah.
The Eagles have had an opportunity to move this guy and over the first 2 years, and they kept him. And I just, based on the conversations I had with other teams, there's not a lot of love with Ringo. Doesn't mean someone wouldn't give a conditional 7th. Sure, of course. A 5th, I'd be shocked.
Okay, my fault. Let me reword it. If Howie got a conditional 7th, I think that he would take it, because he's not going to play a role of any importance on this team, and you can compensate with somebody else for his special teams acumen. I know he's good, but they've got safeties, they've got stack line. Somebody can take that spot, in my opinion. So that's why I left him off. Obviously, if he doesn't get traded, it's a really good shot he does make it. And then I would have to keep 6 and probably go lighter, maybe go back to 9 offensive linemen instead of 10, and Cameron Williams becomes the one who's sized off.
Real quick, guys, who starts if Dickerson's not ready? Because we didn't know how. I had Toth on it.
Yeah, I had Kennard.
Drew Kendall or Darian Kennard.
Yeah, probably Kennard, right? Because Kendall's so young. He's never played the spot.
At least Kennard.
They like him a lot. He's had a really good summer. Drew
Kennard
Kendall.
has been a good story, man.
So is Kennard. Good story development.
Yeah.
Right tackle, right guard, left guard. I've been saying for a while now to keep an eye on him, and the Eagles like him. That would probably be the logical choice if Landon can't go week 1.
And let me also add this caveat, because we will not watch practices from now on. Okay, they still have a week and a half if they want for the next, starting today until the season opener, to get Tyler Steen some left guard reps. If they think that Dickerson's not going to be available, and then put Kennard at his more natural right guard spot, I can see that being the case too.
Yeah, they did that. Yeah, as we know, Steen, Andrew, wasn't a couple practices that he got a little bit of work at left guard? Did we see that
this year?
I don't remember seeing him left guard.
Steen, or was it an OTA? I could have sworn he got something. So at some point,
I don't know if they would do that for one game though. If it were for an extended period of time, but for 1 week to disrupt the continuity.
It all depends on how they see it. I think Dickerson's going to – he's walking around. He's got the sleeve.
Yeah, I doesn't tell you he's going to be ready, though.
I know. He reminds me of Harriman's, man. Like, he's just going to be a warrior and get on the field.
Oh, boy. Todd's
trim.
He had to play with – his pain tolerance was extremely high.
Yeah.
Wow.
I put nothing past Dickerson. I think what you have to worry about is more he comes back and he plays, but then he's limping off the field, in the second or the third quarter, and then we'd see what they would do there. All right, so let's get to safety. Anybody keep more than 4 here?
No.
All right.
No.
Anyone else other than Blankenship, Sidney Brown, Makuba, and McCullum?
No, but I wanted really badly to find a spot for Andre Sam. I thought he had a really good summer, and he adds some juice to special teams coverage. He's really been a nice story of development under Joe Casper and Vic Fangio.
Well, let me say, you did keep Kelee Ringo, right?
Yeah.
If for some reason he's not on the team, there's your replacement for special teams.
And we don't yet know the severity, if there is any severity, to the hamstring injury to Makuba. Yes. That could potentially, alter the way that they look at that position.
And Ringo had the minor injury too, right? Didn't he have something?
The quad, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, obviously, we should bring up the fact that Nakobe Dean's going to start on PUP.
Yeah.
So he's not on it, obviously. That's why we left him off. So when he comes back, we always say they're going to have to make a move, but like there's always an injury. So like there's always a corresponding move that you can't forecast. But I think what's really interesting is that for all of the questions that this team had on defense and still do, 3 positions we clean sweeped. We all agreed on IDL, off-ball linebacker, and safety, and we're only on the edge just between Powell Ryland making it and not making it, and same thing with Ringo at corner. So everything else, it looks like Camp made it pretty clear as to who deserves to be on it, who doesn't deserve to be on it, and what questions still remain that might lead Howie to make moves here. We're all in agreement on that. So good stuff. Anybody have any other special teamers other than Jake Elliott, Braden Mann, and Charlie Hewlett?
No.
Christian Johnston. No, I'm kidding.
He was the dude was he was pretty big for Johnstone was his name. Yeah. Charlie Hewlett. Charlie Hewlett is the old guy.
That's right.
But boy, Braden Mann and Jake Elliott look great. Braden Mann, wow, this is the best he's looked as
really
an Eagle.
good summer.
Yeah.
All right, before we close this out, let's go to I'm going to get from each of you the top 3 guys you left off that you would have on if situations presented it. Who are the top 3 guys you have left off?
Go ahead, Adam.
Well, Kendall Lamb was one of them. Again, if I had not seen Pryor getting some snaps at left tackle, I probably would have had him on it because he could play both left and right. I want to keep Montrell Johnson. The guy could play. I mean, there's no question. But they know it would go to your point, Geoff. If you're keeping Montrell Johnson, Dillon's got to go. And then you work it out with the agent. You have to do it before you cut him. You go, hey, will you be willing to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Do the practice squad tango with him, with a veteran. Be one of the veterans on there. After that, Kylie Granson was the one that he was the toughest. I had him on I did three or four iterations. He was on my first 2. But then it's the Brett Toth one. This dude won't go away. He just
he really won't. He's starting to make Julian Vandervelde look irrelevant now with all the times he's been able to come back. All right, so those are your top 3. Who are your top 3 guys left off?
For me, I would say Andre Sam, Anais Smith, and he wouldn't have made it anyway. But Perry Nickerson had, he's 30 years old, the oldest player on the defense. He's very well respected amongst that group. Had an interception. Really good story.
Yeah. Listen, for me, Terrace Marshall is tough to say goodbye to. I thought when he was out there and healthy, he looked pretty decent, fluid mover. I mean, you're going to keep a guy like Darius Cooper for obvious reasons, but you're going to pass on a guy like Terrace Marshall who could probably be right now just as effective as your number 4 as Johnny Mechie or Darius Cooper, and certainly Avery Williams, who's not even a wide receiver. So that one was a tough one for me. AJ Dillon, obviously, and Ringo, if he doesn't get moved, I would think would be on it. So those are my 3.
Real quick, Darius Cooper signed a 3-year deal. They guaranteed just $90,000. So yeah, that's a great contract to have if you're the Eagles.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. So that's going to do it. That is our 53-man roster projection. Really good insight and intel there, giving you an idea of what the Eagles will be doing over the next 48 hours and beyond. That's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel for Andrew DiCecco and Adam Caplan. I'm Geoff Mosher, and as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.